This morning, as we continue highlighting the best new books every week, David Sedaris. The Best of Me is Sedaris' hand-picked collection of his favorites. It is hilarious, touching, and crass. Some of the odd, enduring qualities that have made him so famous over the years. Before the pandemic, he was the only author we knew of who could fill concert venues just so people could listen to him read out loud. During the pandemic, David Sedaris is still finding things to laugh about, starting with Zoom. Thank you for not doing a Zoom interview.
Well, I did one, but my policy was to do none. But and it wasn't that satisfying.
Is it for anyone?
I think some lazy people prefer it. Like they say, oh, you don't have to wear pants, and you don't have to leave the house. And I think, how lazy can you get?
David Sedaris' writing has changed over the years.
Did I tell you about the burglar who got stuck in the chimney?
But he has never lost his brutal sense of humor.
So who was this burglar, I'd ask? Did they identify his body? He was a gypsy, a drifter, and on 2 occasions, an Arab.
This is the first time Sedaris has performed for someone in person since the pandemic began. He met us in New York's Central Park. It's also the first time he's signed his much sought-after personalized copies of books in months. His newest collection is called The Best of Me.
One thing I realized is with this book, you can add to the me, and so you can have the best of Mexico, the best of mediocrity, the best of meningitis.
Sedaris' jokes have never been for everyone, but sometimes, based on the crowds, you feel like it's close. Millions have found something special in the way he's been writing about his life and family for the last 30 years. He's produced 11 best-selling books, including Barrel Fever, Naked, and Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls. Most of those books have been followed by sold-out concert tours across the country.
At last night's signing, I was approached by a teenage girl who asked me to autograph what was, without question, the ugliest T-shirt I had ever seen in my life.
And even the occasional commencement address.
Choose one thing to be terribly, terribly offended by. This as opposed to the dozens or possibly hundreds that many of you are currently juggling.
Do you prefer performing and touring or writing?
I always think of performing and touring as my reward for writing. So it's my reward for being alone.
Do you miss touring?
I miss it so much. I miss even delayed flights and crummy hotels. I wonder if it's possible to die from lack of attention. I say to my boyfriend, just applaud for me. I'm going to walk into the room and I want you to applaud. I just miss it so much. I miss attention.
Sedaris' early work focused mostly on his childhood. He was born in upstate New York and raised in North Carolina. His mother, who battled alcoholism, died when Sedaris was in his early 30s. 7 years ago, his sister Tiffany died by suicide. A story included in The Best of Me, which he says is his favorite because he got a chance to share the toll of her mental illness. A Sedaris tradition of rarely holding back feelings about family. He calls his father, just shy of 100 and recently recovered from a near-death experience, cold and mean.
My father's 97. This is what people say, oh, like that. Oh, you're so lucky. And so my father can't be visited now in his assisted living center, right? So I write him letters. And then I talked to him a while ago and he said, I got those last 2 letters. You sure didn't have anything to say. And I thought, who else is writing you? Nobody else is writing you letters. That's how I know he was better. That he could just be, he could be mean. And I thought, hey, Dad's back.
Does your family like you?
Well, I bought them a beach house, so they better like me. I mean, I think sometimes people got the idea like, oh, I'm glad I'm not in your family. But when I write something about my family, it's always something they know is funny.
You don't do social media?
I have a Facebook page, but I've never looked at it. And I think I have a Twitter account, and I've never looked at that either. And I think it makes me a happier person.
This collection of essays represents just a small body of his work and will likely again hit the bestseller list. But these days, there's something else Sedaris says he wants to be remembered for. When he's not in New York, he and his partner, Hugh Hamrick, are at their home in the English countryside, where Sedaris picked up some work as a volunteer.
I was out riding my bike one day, and I saw a guy picking up rubbish, and I said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm picking this up. I said, are you paid? And he said, no, it just drives me crazy. And I thought, well, I can do that. So I started doing it that very day.
The town even recently named a dump truck in his honor.
I usually spend, when I'm in England, between 4 and 8 hours a day picking up trash on the side of the road.
And that's what you want David or the David Sedaris legacy to be?
I'd be happy if that was it. It gives me an incredible sense of accomplishment. I think it's more worthwhile than anything else that I do.
Pretty cool, huh? 4 to 8 hours a day picking up trash on the side of the road. David Sedaris hates this word awesome, but he is awesome.
I just want to do this for him.
Yes,
Like,
there you go, David. We've been reading him, the whole family, since the 90s and still do. And the writing has gotten more serious and more emotional, so it's been interesting to watch that journey for him.
Yeah, I hate litter bugs. I'm all the way. I'm coming over.
There you
Out of
go.
this pandemic.
Michelle and David working together.
I'm out there
Orange
picking
vest
up
and
trash.
all.
There it is. And there we go.